Hey everybody, we're in Tuscany and we're celebrating our 5 years of slow travel. It's hard to believe it's been 5 years or 60 months of accumulated crazy experiences. We were on this day 5 years ago on our way to Ecuador at the peak start of COVID in March 15th, 2020.
They were literally closing the borders as we were coming. I mean, we got there at noon and they closed them at 11:59 p.m.
When we were at the airport, they were literally taking anybody that was not Ecuadorian off the plane, and we're standing there with our two dogs, our bags, and this is everything we have. We have our lease in Ecuador that we're going to, but we had all of our plans to go all through South America and spend about 15 months in South America exploring. But we got some. I guess our schedule got upset a little bit. We ended up spending, instead of 15 months in South America, we did about 9.5 months, right?
Yeah, we did.
Almost close to 10. But yeah, we ended up being more or less locked into the country, but we got to see the Andes, the rainforest. We saw the coast. We went to Vilcabamba. We did Quito. We spent our time mostly in Cuenca, where we were home base, but we basically saw the whole country and shared it with you. And that's kind of where we really launched the YouTube channel. And we would never trade that experience, even though it was kind of awkward with COVID. We made some really good friends that we still keep in touch with. And
Ecuador was a lot of fun. We enjoyed our time.
We still have a lot of viewers in Cuenca, and we'll probably go back and visit at some point someday. It was really an experience I wouldn't trade. For going through a COVID period. At least we got to go through this weird thing together, right, honey?
Yes.
It definitely could have been rough if you were out there as a single traveler, which reminds me, on our Facebook group, we have a lot of different chat groups going on, and I started one for single travelers because, unfortunately, while we've had 5 years of successful slow traveling, every once in a while there will be people that throw the towel in. It's not for them, and we had a person that was traveling for about 3 or 4 months on their own, and then she notified us that she's throwing the towel in, and she's single. And while we have done videos about traveling alone, we
solo travel's different. It's not traveling as a couple. I mean, we have each other, and whether that's great every day or not, who knows?
So we wanted to make sure we had a way to network the single people together. So there's a chat group. If you go to our Facebook group, look for Expat Slow Travel Nomad Network by Warren and Julie. Look at the chats. We have one set up for singles so that you guys can collaborate together, get together, mingle, meet, travel together, because we know a lot of people traveling solo that are very successful but doing it for years.
Right, and it's not necessarily a dating service. It's we're just saying, if you're traveling solo, hey, maybe you want to get together and just enjoy. I mean, doing it together.
Yeah, I mean, there's as far as like if you're a couple, you're going to say, hey, what about us couples having a group? Most of our other stuff is all inclusive for anybody that's a couple or a single, so you can do all of the chats. But
right.
But the single people, we know there's a little bit different element of needing that camaraderie, and we do encourage you, if you're going to start slow traveling, that you go to an expat-rich environment to start with, so that you can network and meet some people, and maybe line up some people to travel with as you're doing your time abroad, because it's great to have people to share the experience with.
And we also have the pet parent group.
Yes.
So that's what we are too. So we have a few little different genres.
And let me pet parent. So this is, if you're new here, this is one of our dogs, Katie. She's the smaller one. We have one that we rescued in Ecuador as well, but it adds another twist to the slow travel life. But we've been successfully slow traveling now for 5 years. If you're new to the channel, let me tell you how we do this. We slow travel. Right now we're focused on Europe. We've been in Europe for the last
48 months.
48 months in Europe. Actually, I guess 50 months in
50.
Europe. So 50 months in Europe. We travel mostly by car because we have our fur babies, and much easier to get by. And so we'll share today our experiences and expenses of traveling around Europe and doing it by car. What does it cost? And if you need a car to travel Europe, we've got several different videos on how to do that. We have a French option, we have a German option, we use a Bulgarian option ourselves. and we can explain to you through those videos. And you can also email us. We'll put you in contact with our connections so that you can have a car yourself if you're choosing to travel through Europe, and not by plane or train. But when we share our costs, I think more or less the cost of us having a car is a wash with people that are jumping on planes and trains and the other added expenses involved there, because our car costs have been extremely low on average.
We're pleased.
Yeah. But having dogs also throws some wrinkles into our costs. So when we speak about our cost averages, maybe you can reduce it by 10 or 15%, because when we're doing Airbnbs, we are looking for ones that take dogs, and that reduces the availability of, a lot of places.
I do deduct vet expenses, so all vet expenses are not in our totals.
Yeah, so you can save money, especially on the lodging, probably over what we do for the dogs. But we wouldn't travel any other way. We love our dogs. So as far as countries, I at this point been into about 50 countries. Julie's been to 48. Our dogs have been to 29 countries, I think. 29 for Katie, 28 for Arya. And they are good little travelers. We take them to a lot of restaurants. They'll sit under the tables. They're trained very well. If you're going to travel with the dog, please try to get them used to being in public. Don't try to take an unsocialized dog out on a slow travel world. It can be very much more difficult. Try to socialize them before you hit the road. Get them used to a carrier if you're going to try to do public transportation a lot, so that they're used to being in a backpack or a way that you're going to transport them. So as far as the cost for a couple on Social Security in 2025, what does it cost for Social Security now, or what do they pay?
What do they pay? For a married couple, it's $3,089 average.
That's the average, and that's by Kiplinger, given the Social Security average of what a couple is paid in 2025 on Social Security. What about a single person?
$1,979.
Okay, so I think when we look at our lifestyle, a single person could probably almost do this. Especially if they're not doing it with a pet, it might average out a little over what they're bringing in. But we just come in slightly over on a 60-month average. We're just barely breaking over the average amount for a Social Security couple.
Yes. And when we give these totals, understand we're also including Abby, our car, and her maintenance. So if we include that...
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, the cost on that's been pretty low. And again, we're not doing trains and planes and Ubers, and so it's more or less a wash. We may have to change location because I think we got a storm brewing, if you can't tell from our hair. So do we want to try to go inside?
I think so.
Let's go do the next part inside. Okay, so out of the winds, Julie's hair will look good, and I can't help the way I look, so my apologies straight out. But so let's get to Social Security. The average couple again was sitting at
$3,089,
and single was at 19 something.
$1,979.
And then we have Abby, our car, which we are telling you about our lifestyle. So if you're traveling Europe by car right now, this is our lifestyle. If you want to emulate it, this is what it's going to cost.
Yep.
If you're doing it by plane, train, bus, Uber, and public transportation and jumping countries, your cost probably is not going to fluctuate too much different, because we're not doing plane tickets, and those can be probably as costly, if not more costly, than doing it by car. So when we are looking at our total, we have two different totals we're going to kind of tell you about, because we have the full-time slow travel total, and then we have the total if you were to home base, because we do own a home in the beautiful little country of Montenegro. And so to let you know on that, when we are actually in the country of Montenegro and we're living in our actual home, on an average month, it's going to really cost us probably about $1,500 a month in out-of-pocket costs, and that includes utilities going out, groceries. So $1,500 a month is fairly inexpensive, but we do prorate that up for Airbnb costs. So we give our average Airbnb cost for the months that we are there. So we do average about $1,400 a month right now. For this past year, previous years, we averaged out at about $1,200. So it has gone up a little bit. So we're averaging about $1,400 a month in Airbnb costs when we're traveling. So we add that into our average cost when we're staying home in Montenegro. But when we are home in Montenegro, it's actually less. So we're going to give you the home-based strategy cost and the full-time travel. If you want a home base like we do in Montenegro, you also are able to rent your home out, so you can also leverage it for house swaps. So by having our home and our and the swaps and the Airbnb, what do you think having a home has saved us over this period of time?
I want to also mention, because we went to more expensive locations for these home swaps, we have ratcheted those up to $3,000 on each occurrence. So we're not using a $1,400 average, but between everything we've brought in with Airbnb, all the home swaps, and what we've offset on our home, we've saved $35,000.
So we've saved $35,000 over that.
And that's conservatively speaking. We actually probably could even ratchet that up beyond that.
Yeah. If you had if you did the home base in the last out of the last 60 months of traveling, 50 of it in Europe, we've saved $35,000 by having our home that we've spent 15 months in total out of that. So out of 60 months, we've spent 15 months in our home in Montenegro, and we've saved on average $35,000 really over the last, might as well say 3.5 years that we have done that. So we actually are saving more than what it sounds like when we prorate it out over the full period of time, because we might be averaging out savings like about $1,000 a month by having a home base. And I bring this up because if you wanted to do a strategy of having a home base, it's not just a place where you are supposed to live to have residency, but it's a place where you can rent it out. So hopefully it helps to offset your expenses as you're traveling and renting elsewhere, or you could do a house swap. Having that home base gives you a place to put your clothes, swap them out. And if you're traveling in Europe like we do, it's part of what's known as the Schengen. So Schengen is a group of 29 countries. And you have to think of all 29 of these countries as one country, and you can only be in the whole group for 90 days every 180 days unless you have residency in one of these countries. So it's fairly easy to get residency in Montenegro if that's what you're looking for through home ownership, but then you're restricted to how much time you have to spend in the country. But you can also open up a corporation, pay the minimum tax, and then you can kind of come and go as you please if you want to do residency in that manner as well. So there's different ways. If you chose to do a residency type of program, Montenegro is a good place to do it. And I don't want to say it's an up-and-coming country because it is coming up every year. A lot of people are discovering Montenegro, a beautiful little country on the Adriatic, and a great place to invest. So we have had our nice little life in Montenegro to go back to regroup before we start the next series of adventures. And and our home didn't cost a fortune, but if you're looking for a home base, Montenegro is a good choice. Albania is a place that you can easily go and spend 12 months.
I would call it an up-and-coming country.
Yeah. You could go spend 12 months there without doing anything special in Albania. So a lot of people, actually a lot of singles go down and hang out in Sarande together and group together and get out and do things together and travel from there. So if you're a single, that's another good place to maybe start off, and maybe down in Sarande to get to know some of the folks down there.
Maybe it won't feel quite as lonely as just landing in, say, Milan and continuing.
Yeah. But I must say, if you're going to go to Sarande to try to meet up with the other expats and people that are travelers, you probably want to do that in the off-season. Summer months, they all scatter elsewhere. Costs go through the roof in the Saranda Beach area, and then they all come back and spend like 8 or 9 months there in the off-season when rents are cheap and life is cheap, and it's a good life. It's a cheap life. So having a home will save you money. So what is the total as homeowners with a home base? What are we averaging?
We would have an average of $2,512 per month, but we haven't talked about all of the numbers yet.
No. So our monthly average by having a home base is $2,512, and that's important because if you were on a Social Security budget, if you were able to swing having your own home base, and you're on $2,900 a month, then you can make that work. And like I said, when we are in Montenegro, it is like a $1,500 a month on average reality.
Yes, it is, and we are still living a really good lifestyle with that $1,500. So, are we ready to talk numbers?
Let's talk numbers. Talk turkey.
Right. So over 5 years, we have spent $185,743. Now, I want to quickly say that doesn't include flights back to the U.S. we took separately. That doesn't include our vlogging costs, because that's not the average Nomad's cost. So our extra Apple storage, etc. But it includes everything else, including Abby, $185,743. That is an average of $3,095 per month.
And what does the average couple on Social Security bring in again?
$3,089 per month.
So we are $6 over the Social Security average couple.
We are.
Can we shave out $6, you think?
And I have to say, if we deducted Abby, now with Abby, all I'm talking about is the car purchase we did, which was the corporation formation, bringing her over to Bulgaria and paying her import, as well as her her service, her big service, getting a clutch repaired, etc., or replaced. I deducted $14,183, which left us a total over 5 years of $171,560, or $2,859 per month.
Okay, so if you took Abby out of the equation, then you have
you're under the average Social Security couple.
But really, Abby has got us so many places so far, and so with Abby being part of our life and taking the initial cost out of it, I mean, her costs are so negligible, prorated out to maybe it's like $150, $200 a month, if that.
It's incredible, and the fact that we just get to do what we want to do and see so many things with her. I mean, we could decide we're going to drive to Turkey tomorrow if we wanted to.
How many miles have we put on Abby, or kilometers?
So we have, over all this time, traveled 48,467 miles, or 78,000 kilometers.
That's quite a bit of travel over, and we got her in June of 2021. That's 45 months of traveling with Abby out of the last 60 months of slow travel. So having the car, again, once you have the car paid for, by the time we're doing our average for the insurance on it and the fuel on it, and maintenance, we're probably averaging out like less than $200 a month to have Abby in our life, and really, really, really well worth it. Yes, that means that sometimes you have to pay for parking and look for parking. We also look for Airbnbs that have a parking availability as well.
So there is an added expense there, yes, because otherwise we would probably have an extra 30% of the listings, but you add in the dogs, so we have fewer than those. So I mean, honestly, you could find Airbnbs less expensive than us if you didn't have dogs.
Yeah, but when we were going to slow travel, when we were looking to retire early, I really budgeted us, expecting us to be somewhere between $6,000 to $8,000 a month. And that was my expectation. We have been so far our expectation, and it's not that we're trying to live like paupers. Obviously, we're in a really nice place here that we home swap for, but we are staying in nice places. We don't always try to stay somewhere where it's during the high season and max out our budget. We've learned that we like places that are a little bit more low key, and we like spending times, places where it's not overrun with during the tourist season.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, let's talk about last summer, for example. We just decided that, hey, I want to be in a cool location because that's what I like. And so we opened up the Airbnb app. We looked at the map of Europe. We put in a total that we were thinking, and we just watched it populate with all of our criteria. And it worked. And we ended up finding a place up in northern Germany. And I loved it. It was a beach with a dog beach. We had so much around us to enjoy and little trips we could take. And it wasn't that far out from Denmark. So our time we spent in Denmark, we didn't have to take too far of a trip down to there.
Yeah. So we're trying to give you two different types of lifestyle. If you want to slow travel, live life full-time Airbnb, it does cost you a little bit more than if you were to do a home base like us. And as far as doing it by car, it's pretty much a wash between doing it with a plane and train and all the other additional expenses. However, we are focused on staying in Europe more so than jumping around to going to Asia. So there are slow travelers that are hopping continents all the time. Because we have the dogs, it makes it a little bit more difficult. However, this being said, we are planning on trying to spend a little bit more time maybe doing some flights in the future. We're going to be looking at having some dog sitters while we
might be looking for a pet sitter, you guys.
Yeah, we might, and we do have a pet sitting group, dog group in our Facebook group as well for the chat section. But we are going to try to maybe get out to Japan at some point. We don't know if that's going to be in 2025, 2026. Right now, 2025 seems kind of full. We're going to go spend some time on the beaches in Normandy during the summer. We're going to be going through Zweibrücken, Germany, where I have some old history from days in my Air Force way back when, to go see that region and spend a month there. We've got some stuff going on in Romania. So, we'll be around. Plus, we'll be in Montenegro a bit. So if you're looking for us in Montenegro, we will be there in April and May. We'll also be there in the latter part of the year, I think October, November, December. Our place is available right now for June and July as of the time that we're doing this. Our June people had to cancel quickly. So if you're looking to rent our place, that will be available in Montenegro for June and July. Currently, that is the high season, so it's not going to be the cheapest time, just to be open and honest on that. But we do look at swapping, and we look at renting that out. And while we do have it on Airbnb, we very rarely have actually done the Airbnb with this home, because it's typically been viewers like you guys that are using it. So our medical insurance is really a non-existent part of this, because we do have medical insurance. We spend a couple $100 a month on for $1 million of coverage, $2,500 deductible. Now, I am an insurance agent, and I do sell quite a few different options. You can go to warrenjulietravel.com and run some quotes, or reach out to me if you want me to look at some insurance options for you. Your age and your needs will make the cost change a lot. If you're 79 or 80, your options start going away. That's much more expensive. So depending on your age and whether or not you're a nomad or an expat, there's different coverages. But you can run those quotes at warrenjulietravel.com, or come to me, email me at warrenjulietravel@gmail.com, and I'll try to figure out what you need for insurance based on what your needs are. But insurance has been really a small thing. Our medical situations have been next to nil in cost. I think I had an emergency room visit for COVID in Turkey, in and out, a very short period of time.
Yep, 750 euros.
And then Julie had some stuff done in Montenegro with a scope down into her lungs. And what was that?
My stomach.
Oh, your stomach.
That's
stomach,
right.
lungs.
And that was 240 euros.
Okay, and then I just went through a whole bunch of dental stuff spread between Montenegro and Romania, and that was all in all, what, $200?
I think it was $200 approximately.
Yeah, so that included a couple root canals. So medical in Europe is going to be fairly inexpensive unless you're in the UK. I understand UK out of pocket can be high. Same thing with vet bills. If you're over in a lot of countries, the veterinarians are very inexpensive, but if you're in the UK, it can be expensive. So, so UK and I guess in some ways I think is a little bit more like being in the United States in cost on some stuff.
Yeah, and something else I want to bring up is that we are now offering consultations. A lot of people have asked us over years and years, hey, can we talk to you guys? And we've done it at no cost for people. Yeah, as of 2025, we had to decide to start charging for it, but
yeah, we just couldn't burden the time with a lot of free conversations all the time. Otherwise, we never get out of the house. So while we have encouraged you guys to reach out to us before, emails for sure, but if you do want to call, because we have a lot of people want to talk to us on the phone, we just can't do it free any longer. It's just, at this point, would you have changed anything about our last 5 years?
No. I absolutely love living in Europe. I've absolutely loved living in Ecuador, and I've loved slow travel.
Yeah, slow travel's been really good. We've met so many great people. It just use the resources like in our Facebook group to meet people, because loneliness does happen. Even if you're a couple, sometimes loneliness happens. You want those people to interact with, the people that travel to share the experiences with you, share the knowledge with you. It's invaluable to just have that network. You can be a purist all you want about, I want to go and just hang out with the locals. It's hard sometimes to crack the nut with the locals because they've got their family, friends, and different things. But if you've got that in, that's fantastic. But having those expat groups and get-togethers helps you to meet locals too, because a lot of the locals will come to these little expat meetups to meet some foreigners. So you get the ones that actually want to meet the foreigners will be at some of these expat meetups. So anyhow, we hope you enjoyed today's video. We hope you gives you some insight on the numbers if you were to try to travel slow, what it would entail and what it might cost. So thank you for joining us today. And until next time, have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Ciao.